And from a buyer's perspective, what are you doing? If you're representing the buyer, what happens in week 3?
So we're going ahead and make sure all our contingencies are submitted. We're either ordering the home warranty or requesting that home warranty confirmation.
Oh, let me pause right there. All right, there's a chicken nugget. These TCs make sure you have that home warranty ordered. All right, so you don't have to think about the file pretty much. You just got to make sure you get the paperwork to them, and they're going to give you a lot of reminders, text messages, bird calls, emails, pop-ups at my house. They doing everything. Skittles. Hey, Anthony, we got you some Skittles. They know I like Skittles.
Chocolate.
They're giving me everything to make sure I stay on timeline. Okay, so that's really good. Contingencies, go ahead.
Yes, we're kind of going ahead and getting a little bit of a final audit a little bit early. So we're making sure that we have everything for the file. And if we need to request anything, sometimes we need signed termite clearances and reports. So we're making sure we get all those final signatures and making sure we keep our agents with their broker compliance. So any additional items they may need, we're making sure all that's ready to go.
Sorry for the inconvenience, but this podcast will consist of half Tony Glenn's footage. If you want to stick around and watch full podcast, please do so. But if you want to skip ahead to watch Tony Glenn, skip to 11 minutes 30 seconds.
Good afternoon. This is Anthony Glenn checking in with the Sit Rep podcast, where we help you win in real estate. And today we have Love My TC. TC Me Transaction Coordinator Company. And today we're going to be talking about how you can win in real estate using a real estate transaction coordinator, a certified transaction coordinator. Today's guests, we have Cynthia and Bevan. Hello, ladies. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Good. Outstanding. So we're going to be unpacking this really quick. First and foremost, Bevan, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, my name is Bevan Young. I'm a certified transaction coordinator, been in real estate for over 10 years, and I love everything real estate, basically.
Indeed, and you hold the office down too. You have both of you guys have a central job in the office. You guys do. You guys are running the office pretty much, right?
Yeah. We both run the office here at Remax Liberty. 25 agents, audit all the files, all that good stuff.
Rocking and rolling, right?
Yes.
And then we have Cynthia. Cynthia, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Cynthia Wade. I've been in real estate for about 5 years now. As Bevan said, I love everything real estate. I'm located in Southern California, so I'm very familiar with this area.
Now, man, let's get straight to it. And then also we got Kelsey Thompson, y'all. She's not here. Kelsey is also a transaction coordinator. She was here. She's a military spouse and a really, really good transaction coordinator as well. And then we'll be talking about how she pretty much was one of the founding people of TC Me. And then now she has transitioned to another state. She's in beautiful Louisiana, where it's lots of beaches and everything else, right? No, I'm joking. Shout out to you, Kelsey Thompson, and thank you for being steadfast in helping us advance with TC Me. But let's get to it, y'all. All right, so now we're going to be talking about the 5 essential things in regard to transaction coordinating. We're going to talk about how real estate professionals can use the TC and why it's essential. Let's start with a buyer, and then we're going to go to a seller. Bevan, what's the first thing that you guys do when you open a file in TC Me?
Well, when we get a file for an offer, we definitely want to make sure the whole file is complete, that everybody signed the file. If there's any counters, we are in touch with the other agent. And then once we know the file's ready, we're just waiting for the listing side to open escrow. And as soon as they open escrow, we're up and running, and we have our timeline and basically reviewing, make sure everything's complete to get that open.
Good. And Cynthia, from a how does that help a real estate professional in regard to connecting all of the dots and making sure everybody is integrated into TC Me, like the people?
Mm-hmm. It helps leverage the agent's time. So as far as spending that extra time, we are an extra set of eyes to go ahead and look at everything for them, make sure everything's signed. If anything's missed, we can go ahead and send that to the agent and make sure that the client is also well comforted with the transaction as well.
So basically what you guys do, you introduce everybody so everybody's on the same sheet of music. So that first email goes out. Okay, so then what happens, Bevan? Let's go to a buyer's agent and give me a snapshot into that first week.
Well, the first week, we definitely want to reach out to the clients as well, congratulate them, make sure they have escrow's contact info, make sure they know their escrow number, because that way they're going to get their EMD in right away. So that's the number one first thing we need to do as well. And then we let them know disclosures are coming. We're waiting for them from the listing side. The sellers are filling them out. And as soon as we get that disclosure packet, that we'll be sending it right over. That way, when they get it, they're prepared, they can review it, and we get our documents back a lot faster. And then we also check in, make sure they've got their home inspection scheduled soon, right when escrow opens, ideally, because that's going to tell how the whole transaction is going to go and if they still want the property.
Good. And then the earnest money deposit, the EMD. Cynthia, why is that important when opening up a file? And what do you do? Like, what roadblocks do you see that you help the agent do in that first week?
So I feel like the EMD, that's very important just because it locks in the seriousness of attaining this home. Without that, it kind of shows what type of buyer you're going to have. They're really in it all for that home or not. And with that agent, it kind of helps them know if their client's still interested or if they need to continue on looking at different properties. So I feel like tracking that. Also, if you're late with the EMD, that might make that seller want to go bye-bye. So I think it's serious to get on it like right away and make sure you lock that house down if you really want it.
That's good. Okay, so let me go ahead and start this bus up and run over some agents. Boom. What is it that you see, like, from a TC's perspective, from the sellers or the buyer's side, if you're representing both sides, what is something that you see that slows down the process that you assist with, Bevan?
Well, the biggest hump is probably in the middle of the transaction. That's when the home inspection has been scheduled and everybody's thinking on what to do there with repair requests and or credits. And sometimes that is tricky as a TC too because we're trying to stick to timelines. So we're basically waiting to hear if the agents have gotten in touch with each other, if their clients agree, and if they're all going to move forward. So that's kind of, that sometimes can be a little tricky with the timelines, but that's the biggest hurdle in the middle of the transaction, I'd say.
Good. And so you guys understand, basically what we did is that our company, we integrated a transaction coordinator within the company because they have good autonomy within the files, and it just makes it a lot easier versus outsourcing, right? So we integrated and started that company, and then now we have 3 TCs, and we're looking to expand in California. So if you know anyone who needs a transaction coordinator or wants to become a transaction coordinator, we're building that foundation so we can do some advertising and then help you guys through files. Now, Cynthia, the escrow is open, okay? The EMD is in, okay? The home inspection is done. What is something, I know that appraisal is one of those big things that you're checking to make sure. How do you make sure, why is the appraisal essential by week 2? And why do you want that back? And what are you doing on the listing side to communicate with the seller's agent in regard to that?
I feel like that appraisal is essential because that helps out with that appraisal contingency. So as far as maybe repair requests, if there's a price that's overvalued or undervalued, that kind of helps like some negotiation there, which is crucial very in that second week of the transaction because that might make or break the contract. So you want to get that in ASAP. That way you can go ahead and see how the file is going to move. You can tell whether or not things are going to move forward or not.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to switch over to that second week. Okay. Bevan, can you explain to me what happens in the second week and how you assist the agent during that second week, like around day 14?
Sure. On either like listing or selling?
Yes.
So second week, now we've got everything in. Now we're auditing. I mean, our biggest thing as TCs that we help out with is compliance. And that's why we're so strict about sticking to those timelines. So we're trying to make sure we have everything in. Often there'll be things like adding a buyer or we have to get all that paperwork together. So it's basically all about getting everything compliant, stuff that, real estate agents didn't get into real estate to do a bunch of paperwork. So that's what we're here for, to keep everything compliant. And then we're also checking in on the loan. The loan is the next one after the negotiations are done and the appraisals are done. Now we're checking in, seeing if that loan is approved soon and when. That's the last kind of bit to the puzzle there.
Now I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. And listen, check this out. I have the hardest files. I know I do. Listen, I'm telling you, man, these ladies be keeping me out of trouble, man. They like, Anthony, do you want me to remove this contingency? I think one of the biggest things that I could definitely say in regard to managing files with Kelsey, Bevan, and Cynthia here is that they keep me on my timelines because I be forgetting. And then y'all hear those that beeping noise in the background. Those are checks coming in from closed escrow from TC Me, baby. Let's go. All right, so The contingency removal periods, why is that? What do you guys do different in regard to assisting that agent in those timelines, and why is it important? Let's start with Cynthia.
For the contingency period, it helps keep, like we said, the agents on track, so we can let them know ahead of time. That way they're aware that it's coming. If you don't have a TC, you might not be aware, and it's a last minute, and now you have no time to negotiate or inform the client, or that client might not want to remove that contingency yet. So then you're kind of at a standstill.
Yep.
So a TC really helps keep you on track, updates you before the actual due date. That way you can go ahead and make some progress in that transaction.
And on track is also, we want to prevent any like out of contract issues. So if you miss your dates, if you're super late, we do not want our agents to be out of contract at all or have any issues there. So it's kind of why we push a little bit extra. We all have apps and calendars on our phones, but it's a little different when you have someone working for your timeline, getting in touch with you and reminding you.
And then you have multiple files, right? So essentially what you guys are doing is you're a concierge within the contract. And what's the difference between, let me ask you guys, what is the difference between a certified transaction coordinator and a transaction coordinator?
Oh man, when you go through that course, I mean, you go through the entire process from top to bottom, all the paperwork. When you start TCing, sometimes agents just kind of show you a few things and you know a few things, but you need to really, if you can, go through the course, because if you're certified, you've hit scenarios that you might not come across when you're just learning kind of the typical way to get through a transaction. You want to be really knowledge in the paperwork, and if someone asks you about the disclosure, be able to speak intelligently about them. So I thought it was great to get certified.
Now, both of you guys are certified. You guys are both real estate professionals too, right?
Yes.
So that helps as well, right? So I think that, not only are you guys, now, all right, so let me ask the hard question. Y'all ready for this chicken nugget? All right, y'all know I like chicken nuggets. Here's a hard one right here, fresh out of Chick-fil-A. All right, so here's the deal. On the other side of the transaction, have you guys earned business because of the lack of training from agents?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that. Can you talk about that a little bit? Let's start with Cynthia first, and then we'll go to Bevan.
Yes, so there's some scenarios where there's actually an agent with no TC. So when they see how much help and how much you're pushing them to get their files in order, they kind of get inspired. Like, you know what? Can we just hire you as well? So to help keep me in compliance. So that's another way to kind of get business when that agent doesn't have a TC and they're just falling way behind on their schedules, and you're way ahead and keeping your agent in check. So that's another way to.
That's good, Bevan. You have anything to add to that?
You do a great job. They remember. It might not be that transaction, but it might be 3 months later. And so when you do a great job and you're really thorough, especially at the end, I feel, congratulating all parties, that kind of thing, they remember, often. If they start looking for somebody else, they'll think of you.
Now, what I want y'all to do now, when my voice gets low, that means I'm about to say something important, y'all. All right, so all right, so here's a hard one right here. Who is the absolute worst person to TC for? Anthony Glenn? Me. Look, they be stressed out when I give them files. Their eyes be like, all right, I'm gonna take this file, but
Everybody's different. Everybody's
look, they ain't trying to say I know my files be hell. Look, they be like, oh Lord, Heavenly Father, Jesus, I got another file from Anthony Glenn. I already know, because when I come in here, Bevan, her hair be all messed up, and Cynthia be sweating, tired. But one thing that I definitely do is I fight for the best interests of the client, right? So we have 2 files going on right now. Let's talk about those, right? So in this market, we had a situation, Cynthia, with someone not wanting to give a price reduction, right? So let's talk about that really quick. What did the agents say in the beginning?
They did not want to give the price reduction, but then when they were willing to, they wanted no home warranty. They didn't want to, they wanted nickel and dime every way they could. So they wanted to give no home warranty if we're going to do the price reduction. Why did you get into real estate? Was the dream to spend hours reading through disclosures, scratching your head wondering if you have all the correct documents for your transaction? I doubt it. Or is it to help people find a new home that is great for their family in a terrific neighborhood where they will create memories of a lifetime? Now that sounds more like the dream. As certified transaction coordinators, we help agents every day achieve these dreams by handling the administrative tasks and verifying all documentation for you so you don't have to. If you want a full service TC to get you to that finish line, TC Me is here for you. For more information about all the services we offer, go to our website at lovemytc.com.
So, and that's the reason why that timelines are important, because strategy is essential, right? So we did the appraisal came back low, and then they basically said that they were going to pay off solar. Now this veteran is getting paid off solar, a home warranty, and a price reduction because of the TC being patient and putting stuff in order and making sure that I'm on timeline, which gave leverage to be able to help the client. And then in addition to that, we have another file right now. Bevan, you want to talk about that one real quick?
Oh yeah, they hit us with a repair request that was a massive number, and that was not accepted. And then they came back with we didn't even really think that they were going to get anything, and then they asked for another huge number, and no, they settled for an appropriate number, and we're moving on and closing, and it's all good.
That is what I'm talking about. And then here's the thing that the TC does that I can explain from personal experience. So us waiting to get the appraisal back and requesting the appraisal from the buyer's agent, we know that they're into it because they did their earnest money deposit, they did their due diligence, and they're on timeline with their repairs and everything else. But in addition to that, we were able to save the client money because they requested $12,000 without giving us the appraisal. So us not removing contingencies and getting the appraisal from the seller, from the buyer, which they don't have to do, enabled us to save a person from $12,000 to a $2,000 credit to close escrow. So these are the type of things why it's essential to get you a California certified transaction coordinator. Hey, if you're a real estate professional and you're in California, Love My TC, Bevan, Cynthia, and Kelsey, okay, will be able to assist you with getting a tight file with the experience of doing transaction coordinator with the absolute worst real estate professional in communication, Anthony Glenn. I'm keeping it real. So all of these closing, these are the ladies that are behind the scenes helping me get through the file. Now, we've done week 1 and week 2. Now, what happens in week 3 from a seller's perspective, Bevan? We got we're getting close to close escrow. What happens in that third week, and how do you assist the agent from a seller's perspective?
Well, week 3, we're definitely after having full contingency removal. So that is a repetitive, multiple times we need to request for that to get that in week 3 to know that we're going through and that the loan there's nothing tricky going on last minute, and then just fully auditing the file again, checking on home warranty, just prepping everything to get ready to close.
And from a buyer's perspective, what are you doing? If you're representing the buyer, what happens in week 3?
So we're going ahead and make sure all our contingencies are submitted. We're either ordering the home warranty or requesting that home warranty confirmation.
Oh, let me pause right there. All right, there's a chicken nugget. These TCs make sure you have that home warranty ordered. All right, so you don't have to think about the file pretty much. You just got to make sure you get the paperwork to them, and they're going to give you a lot of reminders, text messages, bird calls, emails, pop-ups at my house. They're doing everything. Skittles. Hey, Anthony, we got you some Skittles. They know I like Skittles.
Chocolate.
They're giving me everything to make sure I stay on timeline, okay? So that's really good. Contingencies, go ahead.
Yes, we're kind of going ahead and getting a little bit of a final audit a little bit early. So we're making sure that we have everything for the file, and if we need to request anything, sometimes we need signed termite clearances and reports. So we're making sure we get all those final signatures and making sure we keep our agents with their broker compliance. So any additional items they may need, we're making sure all that's ready to go.
Boom. Now we got that clear to close. CTC. All right. CTC, Remax Liberty, VHC. Hey, man, that kind of rhymes. Hey, bars. All right. Nah. All right. So we got the clear to close. Now we're transitioning to week 4. What are you doing for week 4, and why is it important to have that verification of property condition and all of those things? What happens in week 4 from a listing side? Because I know there's something that has to happen in escrow that has to get done in order for you to close a file. Hint, hint, the HOA transfer, maybe?
HOA transfer, yeah, the HOA transfer should be in middle, about second or third week.
Okay.
But for the fourth week, we want to know if there's a date for signing set up. We got funds, we got documents, loan docs, are they in? I know we're on the listing side, but we still poke for that. We want to know because that helps us know, okay, we know what day we're closing. The sellers know what day they need to be out. They know what's going on. So, the verification of property. I mean, the sellers need to make sure they've got all their repairs done for that walkthrough that's coming up. So it's just all the final bits and pieces, really.
And what do you have to add,
I was
Cynthia?
gonna
I
say,
see you
in
about to
certain-
jump in.
yeah, in certain circumstances, there's also like a solar transfer. So we need to make sure that those buyers are qualified and everything went smoothly because that is a huge impact in the deal.
And then you guys are usually checking for that final contingency removal. And then also you're checking to make sure that the client and the realtor remembers the move out date, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can y'all talk about that?
Yes. Often people will remain in possession, sellers, so we need to check in that everyone's on the same page with that and that the documentation's in for that because that can get fun if people not knowing what they're paying per day, if they're paying something per day, and that's a whole other ball of wax.
Now, so for those of you who see these closed files, okay, at Remax Liberty and other brokerages, these are the people that are behind the scene assisting the agent, okay? So, like I said before, Cynthia, Kelsey, and then Bevan here from TC Me, and they are the ones who are actually making stuff happen. And it's called GSD. Y'all know what that stands for? Get shit done. All right, so keeping it real on this podcast, man, it has been amazing. Is there anything else that you guys want to say for those seeking a transaction coordinator in California? Cynthia and then Bevan.
Yes, my biggest recommendation is just finding someone who knows what they're doing. We're both licensed agents as well as being certified transaction coordinators. So we're very familiar with the new laws, new disclosures, someone that knows what they're doing and that's really organized because that's really going to benefit and help you best leverage your time.
Indeed. And Bevan.
Absolutely. I mean, we pride ourselves on being full service TCs. So we do go a little above and beyond. We're not a robot. We don't do automated emails. We send every email personally. The clients really like that. So that's huge to me. It's that little extra makes a difference, and that brings in the referrals. So it's all about referrals and more business.
And also Google Love My TC. You'll see the reviews on Instagram, Facebook. You'll see it everywhere. And then also shout out to Kelsey Thompson for also being a magnanimous TC as well. We also want to show her some love. She's not able to be here obviously because she's on in Louisiana. But like I said before, we are a collaborative team, and no matter where you're at, we can help you with your certified transaction coordinator stuff. Because also with being a certified transaction coordinator, there are updates that come out. So you have a triple threat. Number one, you got experience. Number two, certified transaction coordinators. And number three, you have 2 certified realtors that are in the business, so they kind of know how everything goes. So that adds the trifecta in regard to experience and everything else. And this is over 1,000+ transactions done, so they get better and better. But the certified transaction coordinator with the updates to stay up with the times, I think is essential for instead of just hiring a person who hasn't went through the course. Now, last but not least, Cynthia and Bevan, how can we reach you three? Where can we find you guys?
Yeah, go to our website, lovemytc.com. It has a list of our services, pricing, information about us a little bit. So that's the best way to kind of check out a little bit more about what we're about. And then my Instagram's TC Bevan, if you want to look me up personally. But we've got TC Me on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes, and you can find me at mytc_CYN. So that's my Instagram there. And like she said, Love My TC, Facebook. We have our website, Instagram. So we're worldwide.
619-494-1410.
Outstanding.
That's all the stuff.
And hey, check this out. This is transaction coordinating for California. If you guys are interested in that, or even if you want to hit us up on wire10k.com to find out how we established the business, we're more than willing to share that with you to show you how you can vertically integrate a transaction coordinator company and scale. And for those of you, we are looking for a few good TCs. So if you guys are interested in getting it and becoming a transaction coordinator, we will be opening that up for training and everything else, okay? And mentoring for transaction coordinators. So this has been amazing. And then follow us with fresh content coming to a theater near you. Okay. Follow us on wire10k.com where you can check out fresh content, fresh out of the grease. All right. And then also follow our YouTube channel, Sit Rep Podcast. Let's freaking go. Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Amazing job. And we really appreciate you. And then make sure you hit up TC Me for more information.